Peacemaker Season 2 Episode 6 review. Let's get right into this. So, this is a jam-packed episode. Like, there's a lot of huge reveals in here, and James Gunn, he did not lie. Okay, so for those who wondering, it's gonna be spoilers, but yeah, James Gunn, he did not lie when he was saying this is gonna be obviously like just huge episodes in general, starting from this episode 6 up until the end of the season, so including 7 and 8, of course. And yeah, this episode is huge. So yeah, I'm excited to see what 7 and 8 entail. But yeah, so this episode is titled Ignorance is Chris. And yeah, you know what? Let's just start getting into this. You know, we go down, do our breakdown type thing of it. But yeah, this is an absolutely insane episode. Just let me know what you think down below in the comments about this episode. But the episode pretty much just starts off with Chris, his brother, and his father. They're at a restaurant. Also, Harcourt. And keep in mind, this is an alternate dimension. And then these kids want to take pictures. Pictures with their dad specifically. And then it ends up that Harcourt helps the kids take the picture, and then the rest of them, Chris and his brother, are included in the picture as well. And then they show the picture and you know, okay, this is wholesome. You know what's going on here, even though we know the alternate dimension, how it is. It's not all what it seems. And then they show the picture, and it starts kind of like melting, just getting like droopy. And pretty much, at least my interpretation of it, is that it represents how Chris is. He's not where he's supposed to be. This, even though this is his perfect world, it's not. Even though it's a perfect world in his opinion, it's not his perfect world. If you know what I mean. Because it's all an illusion. It's not where he should be. And yeah, that's kind of what I got from that. And then of course we got the intro. So it hit hard. It took me like a few seconds to realize. I'm like, bro, am I tripping? Am I just being a little like I don't know. I think I'm not catching this on for a second. But yeah, no, that's what it was. And the intro hits, and you know, the intro's goated. I'm at the point now where I can definitively say this intro's goated. I still don't know if it's better than 1. It might be. Still have to give it till the end of the season to like fully say. And then one of the things that were being rumored were that this episode is gonna, some of it at least, would take place at Adrian's house, or well, his mom's house. And yeah, that turned out to be true. And it's interesting because I wanted more of Vigilante's backstory as it is. And this episode honestly did give him like quite a bit of it. And that's what I've been wanting ever since the start of the show. So I'm happy about it. And you can just see the clear, like, you see it in the episode here. As soon as they go into the house, even before then, Adrian's like, you know, my mom's just, you know what he says. Okay, but yeah, he clearly he clearly does not really like his mom that much. Sees her as a nuisance. And then finally they enter the house. Everyone, and that's Adebayo, John, Harcourt, and Adrian, of course. And they all kind of just meet Adrian's mom, and yeah, they meet her first in the kitchen, and then she follows Adrian and everyone else down to the basement, even though Adrian's like, don't do that, and then she did it still. And it's honestly lent for a funny bit. And pretty much Adrian's mom literally spilled the tea, and she's like just exposing Adrian for what he was saying about each person. And yeah, that was pretty funny in my opinion. And then, well, the funniest bit was probably the bit what he told his mom about Harcourt and how they were dating and just things of that nature. Yeah, that was a pretty funny bit. And then once Adrian finally unlocks the door, which has tons of locks, whatever, they finally find out that the place they're going to put the portal in, because the whole point here is that they're going to put the quantum unfolding chamber, the device for it, they need to put that somewhere safe. And this is the way where Argus won't be able to pretty much detect it. Not somewhere they'd expect. And that's why they chose it here. And yeah, in that room that they're going to put it in, it turns out that there's a whole bunch of illegal substances, such as coke. And coke will literally play a factor in later in the episode. And yeah, there's other things such as tons of money. And when they ask Adrian, they're like, why do you always ask for money? Like, Adebayo's asking that. And then Adrian's like, nah, this is blood money. Nah, come on, you guys are crazy? Who uses blood money? This is messed up. Just saying things like that, along the lines of that. And they all just look at each other like, nah, yeah, suit yourself, but we could use this for sure. And I think he said something about, like, if I don't come back, blah, blah. But, yeah, bro, there's looking at the money. The rest of them are like, yeah, nah. The money's looking good out here. Yeah, finally then, Adebayo, she sets up. Oh, also another thing, I should say. Two things. So, we finally see, because we're wondering, because obviously we saw Vigilante's mom in the intro, and we know that everyone in the intro we see through, like, at one point at least in the season. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Just wanted to mention that. But yeah, then Adrian mentions that he's very just fixated on finding his alternate dimension self. And like I said, that also plays a bigger part later in this episode, which is great. That's what you like to see. Just the stakes kind of being, or yeah, it's kind of like the storyline being set up in the beginning of the episode. Okay, that's what you like to see, and then it closes nicely, and then in the episode you get the whole story there, kind of, at least the story in the episode done, and contributes to the larger scale, I guess, arc. But then yeah, Adebayo, she knows how to set it up, and then she does it just like first try, just like a wizard, pretty insane. But then she just tells everyone, yo, step back, because she knows from when Chris did it that it just pushes everything off, just pulses and pushes everything. And everyone, she tells everyone to step back to the wall. They all do, and then she quickly turns on. You see it just like the same way we saw it in the last episode. And then she quickly runs to the back, and it pulsates, and everything starts going flying. The money, the coke, and then yeah, all of a sudden, then it stops. The quantum folding chamber finally opens, and then we find out that Harcourt and, well, everyone else that is for that matter, they're all covered in coke, because Vigilante decided to not give it back to the cops because he's afraid of just corrupt cops just putting it back into the streets essentially. And yeah, that'll play a big part. The fact that the coke is literally on Harcourt. And then we see them go into the quantum folding chamber, and they're just like talking about why didn't Chris just tell us about this before? Why do you hide this? And you just thought it was normal. It just kind of talks about different experiences people have, the way they're brought up, and they just think some things are normal even though they're not. And they get towels, whatever. Harcourt passes everyone towels, and they start just getting the coke off of them. But yeah, unfortunately for Harcourt, she can't get all the coke off. And then we go to scene Flurry, of course, the goat Flurry, and Rick Flag Sr. And Rick Flag Sr. is pissed, and rightfully so, because you understand from his point of view, he's dead set on getting Peacemaker, because we know what happened, what he did to Rick Flag Sr.'s son, of course, Rick Flag Jr. So rightfully so, he's just pissed. He's like, I can't get this guy. We get so close, and then look what happens now. On top of the Judo Master's nowhere to be found, because he went to the dimension as well to follow Peacemaker, so that's there. No communication with him. They can't even track, Harcourt or Economos, because they went off the grid with Adrian and Adebayo into the alternate dimension. They're like, bro, we have nothing. We have no resources. And this is a funny scene because Flurry's like, what should we do? Boss, what should we do? And then Rick Flag is just like, just give me a minute to think. And then instead of leaving, right, that's just a cue to leave. This guy Flurry just sits down there and he starts thinking. He starts thinking with Rick Flag. I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, Tim Adams God says like every episode. He's just so good. He's so good. Such a good addition. And then Rick Flag's like, are you serious? Like, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. Okay. And then instantly, as soon as he leaves, Rick Flag gets the idea to call Belleville. And that's the penitentiary, of course, iconic, infamous. And he's trying to set up a flight to get over there in like 30 minutes because he wants to be an inmate, a prisoner. And then let's see, after that we go back to the whole gang, and they literally hop into they find the door, they find the right door to go through, and they're like, okay, how are we gonna figure out the code? How are we gonna figure out the pin? And then Adrian, of course, he knows it because he was there. And also, like a side note, right before this, as soon as they actually went to the quantum unfolding chamber, they they see that monster, that alien thing, and Economos is interacting with it, and then Adrian's like, nah, there's no point. Oh, sorry, there's the other way around. I think someone's interacting with it, and then someone said, don't. And yeah, that's kind of funny. But yeah, as soon as they enter into the alternate dimension, they kind of realize it right off the bat. They just see all the stuff on the walls, the pictures. And for Harcourt especially, it's weird because she sees a picture in Chris's room of Chris with her. And it's like freaks her out, kind of grosses her out. It's weird. And then guess what? As they're exploring, then Keith comes in. He comes in, Chris's brother comes in, and he's like, wait, I thought you were Chris. I thought you guys were going to, the Argus headquarters. Like, what's going on? And then she has to make up excuse quick on spot, and then she's like, oh yeah, snow globe, I just had to, Chris told me to pick it up from here. And then, so I can take it to my desk. And then and then Keith's like, oh, that's our mother. That's our deceased mothers. He's like, it's kind of weird that Chris will let you have that. So I'm like, this is kind of crazy. I'm like, yeah, this is awkward. I'm like, if this guy Keith does not know yet, the red flag, all these red flags, that this is clearly a different person, not the same person, not the same Harcourt from your dimension. This guy's got it, bro. This, come on, are you serious? Really? If imagine this in a real life situation. If you don't pick up the signs on this, like, I'm not gonna lie, that's on you. Okay, there's no way. Whatever happens from this point on, it's on you. Okay, if you don't pick these up, and also I feel like you would realize, like, at least get somewhat of a feeling that you have other people in there. You have John hiding in, what was it, the other room, and then you have Adebayo and Vigilante just hiding in the closet. It's like, it's crazy. And then while this is going on, then Keith's like, okay, why don't since I'm going back to Argus anyways, so why don't I just give you a ride back? And then Vigilante and Adebayo are telling her, don't do it, Harcourt. And then what'd she do? She says yes. And then they're like, God damn it. And then yeah, Harcourt and Chris's brother, they leave to drive to the headquarters. And then we just see John, Vigilante, and Adebayo just talking about everything. And they can't, like, bro, Adebayo's just in shambles. She's like, what is going on? Why did she say yes to go? And then John, he starts just getting freaked out by everything. He's like, this is insane. This is weird. This is making me puke. And then they're like, why does weird stuff make you puke or whatever? And then Vigilante's is dead set on going to see his doppelganger, his alternate dimension self. And he's dead set on it. And then the next scene we kind of see is the alternate dimension Harcourt with our Peacemaker. And yeah, it's further kind of reinforcing further that this is the world or the reality that Chris wants. Kind of like, that's pretty much it, long story short. And then we see our Harcourt from the main dimension with Keith as they're driving back to Argus. And here they're listening to a song, and then also just showcasing the difference between, like, the pop culture aspects of it, such as just the rock bands, whatever, music. And another red flag here should have been for Keith to know that, like, bro, come on, really? And it kind of did work here, because even in this dimension, Harcourt was, what do you say? More in the books than, like, just knowing about pop culture, even the basics. And he's like, yeah, I guess Chris is right about you. And that must have struck a, I mean, yeah, bro, that struck a nerve, definitely. Okay, Harcourt wouldn't, yeah, definitely struck a nerve there. But as this is happening, as the music is playing, they're driving, Harcourt is observing everything, and she's realizing, even at this point, this early on in the episode, that everyone in this alternate dimension, they all look the same. There's no I guess there's no diversity, right? Everyone's just the same. Okay, and we'll touch back on that later in the episode. But then we get just a thing with Chris and Harcourt, whatever. and this is like in the bathroom. And here the main point is kind of like the mirror thing here, and I felt like this is kind of another thing, another example of showing how his dream, his world is slipping, like, or kind of foreshadowing it, how it's slipping. It's about to go downhill from here. And then we see Vigilante, okay, because he decides he's dead set on it, going to find himself, and here he is. We see him at his mom's house, and along the way there, as he gets to the area, the street, he sees a car coming, and he's quickly, like typical, just hides behind something. In this instance, it was a bush. It's typical Vigilante stuff from the car, even though no one would probably care. And then we see Peacemaker just on his motorcycle, which is pretty cool. And then finally we see Harcourt, our Harcourt, and Chris's brother arrive to the Argus headquarters. And there, Harcourt just gets in trouble. They pretty much say you have to come with us because, like I said in the episode, when they open that dimension, when they open that dimension with, for the whole quantum unfolding chamber, that pulse put the coke all over all of them, but especially Harcourt. And when she went here, the dog started barking, and because they could sniff it, right? The legal substance. That's why they had the dog there, and that's why they had to take her in. We're sorry to take you in. This is how it is. And then Keith's like, "Don't worry, I'll get you out." But I'm like, "Oh dear, this is where it's gonna go." I'm like, is this where we're gonna get the two worlds colliding? Are we gonna see Harcourt and other Harcourt interact with each other? And yeah, touch on that later. And as Harcourt is getting pretty much escorted to where, like, the room, I guess the interrogation room, whatever you want to call it, she looks back and she sees our Peacemaker, our Chris, coming there. That's where he's coming to, back to the Argus headquarters. And then you can see just the acting from John Cena, absolutely great. Just the look on his face, his eyes, everything. You can tell he's like, oh shoot, oh god, this is gonna be bad. Like, this is gonna be, god damn it. Like, just that type of look. Like, I know the ramifications of this, was the consequences. Then go back to Vigilante. He finally crosses the street. The coast is clear, and he just sees all the differences, even on the front yard and stuff. And he's just like amazed, just at everything, all the different stuff, even just inside the house. Looking at the pictures, then he sees here, because we didn't see before, we didn't see his dad at all, even talked about in the main dimension. But here in the alternate one, it's his mom and his dad. And then he goes down to the basement, just like, just trying to see if his other self is there. And then he has the 3 locks, he unlocks it all and everything. And then guess what? He sees himself just sitting there working at the table. And then he's like, and then the other Vigilante, this alternate dimension Vigilante, spots him. He's like, what are you doing here? Who are you? And then our Vigilante takes the mask off and he's like, oh no, I'm you. It's me. And they start like, I'm wondering, I'm like, is this Vigilante going to be the same type of traits? Or is it going to be like aggressive, harmful, violent? What type? No, he has pretty much the exact same personality, except for one difference, which we'll touch on in a moment. And here, they're just kind of talking about it. And then we go, the next scene, we see John and Adebayo. They're pretty much just left here. That everyone else just ditched them. Adrian ditched them. Harcourt pretty much like also ditched them too. And they're just talking here. It's like, what should we do? And then they see Eagly, the goat Eagly in the alternate dimension one, that is. And Eagly made a whole mess, even in this dimension. It's a parallel. And Adebayo, just being the good person she is, she's like, we gotta clean this up, John. John, just like how he is always, he's like, hell no, we're not, we gotta clean this up. First, we gotta do all this other stuff to get Chris back. We have to go into alternate dimension and do all this other stuff. And on top of it, we're also like cleaning. We're like the cleaners too. that was pretty good stuff there. And then we go to Rick Flag. He's finally at Belleville. And here at the penitentiary, Rick Flag, he's having a chat with someone, and the way they filmed it, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a big reveal, you can tell. And guess what? You finally see the person sit down. I love the way it was filmed, where you couldn't see him, you couldn't see their head, but you see the rest of their body. And the person sits down, you finally see him. And it's none other than Lex Luthor. Okay, we see Nicholas Hoult back, and this was heavily rumored, turned out to be true. So like my excitement wasn't like as nearly as if it was a surprise, but still, I had a big pop for it. I was still pretty hyped for it, and they do obviously mention why Lex is in there, and like the events of Superman, of course, and metahumans gets mentioned. That's a big theme from Superman. And Lex is kind of going to talk to him about that. And he's like, "What do you need? I know you need something. Like, let's just get to the spiel." And then Rick Flag's like, "This is Peacemaker. I need help with Peacemaker, Vigilante." That's what Lex said. He's like, "Oh, the Vigilante, not metahumans." But he's like, and then Rick Flag Senior just explains the whole thing about how the pocket portals, whatever. And then Lex Luthor's like, "Okay, I can help you with that. Here's what I can do. I have a scanner." Okay. He's like, if I had a scanner, I could help. But he's like, "What could I get?" He's like, "I want," and then we can move you to another one. And then he's like, "I want freedom, blah, blah, blah." They're kind of talking about the deal here. And this is kind of like the setup to it, because this will eventually lead to Lex obviously being freed. Correct? This is like this is probably the biggest thing in terms of setup for Man of Tomorrow. Because we know that Lex is in there. He's going to be teaming with Superman. So think about it. This is the way it's done, where he makes a deal with Rick Flag Sr. Okay, helps him, and then he gets freedom, essentially. And this is pretty cool. So Lex agrees to help him. And then we go back to Harcourt and Harcourt in the interrogation room, and then Peacemaker, our Peacemaker that is, he comes in here. The people let him in just out of goodwill, pretty much, even though they're not supposed to. And then he has to talk to Harcourt, and this is where he's like, this is a one-on-one. He's like, "Why are you guys here?" And then they talk about the whole letter stuff. Okay, but the main juice of this, the main important part, is Chris just wants to. We finally get to know the feelings type of part of it. And James kind of did say there's I think it was this episode, right, episode 6, where he's like, it was very like, what do you say, like emotional bit, one of the most emotional bits. I don't know, where he cries, something along the lines of that. And this is where we see Harcourt just giving a very, very good emotional performance with Peacemaker. And he's letting a lot of the feelings here unleash. It's pretty, like, I guess the best way to describe it is pretty raw. It's pretty raw. And very messy, but like that's intentionally messy. And like, if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But very well done here. This is a great scene. And it's just very, very real. That's my best way of putting it here. A lot of stuff just getting dealt with, and just real feelings getting unleashed, the truth. So it's kind of closure for both of them, because both of them don't really one of them, Peacemaker, wants to know. He wants closure. He wants to know, but Harcourt, she didn't really want to open up about it. She was trying to avoid the conversation. And they also mention, of course, her relationship with Rick Flag Jr. But yeah, then she gets freed. She goes after. The conversation ends, and then they're like, we did the test. You don't have anything in your system. You're free to go. And then they leave the room. And then we go back to Rick Flag Sr. And he's talking to, I forget her name was. But I'm just gonna call her Cyborg at this point. Talks to Cyborg, even though it's, I know it's not actually Cyborg, but she has like cyborg abilities. Okay, besides the point, you know what I mean? She's talking to her, she's like, "What happened?" He's like, I made a deal with Lex. That's what it is. And then we go back to Adrian, and they're just talking about all their similarities and stuff. And every time I see this, where there's two people, where they do the scenes, especially like sitters. That's a great example from this year as well, where they had the mirroring thing, the same actor, like the actor being shown as two characters. I love that, especially like simultaneously on the screen. It's just so impressive. Like the way technology advances is great. It's like it's seamless. It looks so good, but man, it takes. I know, like they have to do was a bit like a lot of masking and stuff. But still, obviously, they had the stunt double, or not stunt double. They had the double here to fill in and stuff for certain scenes in order to pull this off. But man, it just looks absolutely great. And like I said, they're talking to each other about similarities, and then it gets revealed that Adrian's like, "Yeah, my best friend's Peacemaker." And then he's like, the alternate dimension Adrian's like, what? He's like, that's my arch nemesis. He's like, you can't be real. Ain't no way. He's like, no, my best friend's Peacemaker. And then there it is. You see it. He's like, I've pretty much the alternate dimension Adrian. His goal is just pretty much just, bro, just be a hater. Take him down. Take down Peacemaker. Essentially. Yeah, we're enemies. He just hates his guts. Essentially. Then go back to Adebayo. She's talking to Economos. They're done cleaning up the mess from Eagly. And then she's like, I'm going for a walk, okay? And then Economos like, I'm not. She's like, whatever, I'm going for a walk. And here, this is where we get another huge reveal. You see it. Bro, I felt bad. I'm like, please, Adebayo, for your own sake, don't go for the walk. But she still went for it, and I knew it was going to happen here. And then we see, guess what we see? She's walking down the streets, and the first person she sees, which is a car, the first people that see her are these people in SUV. This woman that is, and I think she had her kids in the car. And guess what? This is where the episode ramps up. These last like 3 minutes of the episode, or 2 minutes of the episode, absolutely insane. Before this, I'm like, how are they gonna end this episode? I'm like, this is gonna be difficult to end. But man, this ending was spectacular. I don't know. I'm not even trying to nitpick or anything, but I feel like if this stuff was done more like, I don't know. I mean, it still was good the way they tied at the end. But I feel like this could have, if they had this stuff, if it had more time to develop throughout the episode, maybe a bit earlier on, it would have been beneficial to it. That's my only thing. But man, the reveals are also good. Like, I don't know, I just feel like they did the reveals always. Like, I mean, it makes sense, but like, I don't know. That's kind of what my take was. I felt like they just had it a little bit more depth to it in terms of just like, yeah. It's all like just like within 2 minutes, all this stuff. I'm like, it's pretty insane. But yeah, like, this is great. It makes you want to watch next week's episode so bad, which is the whole point. So, like, TV shows. Besides the point though, the first car walks by or drives by. Sorry, not walks, drives by, and then bro, she just gives Adebayo a weird look, and Adebayo's like, what the hell is this? And then we go back to John, and then he sees Peacemaker's dad enter the house, and he quickly ducks behind the kitchen island. And he's like, he's just hoping, praying that he doesn't get caught. And then we go back to Argus headquarters, and that's where we see Harcourt, this alternate dimension Harcourt. She, of course, appears here. And, yeah. And then we go to the next scene, which is with our Harcourt and Peacemaker as they're leaving the interrogation room. They're going to, like, the main, like, I don't know, like, office area of it, which you see in our dimension as well, where, like, they work at, Harcourt works at. Economos, Flurry, like everyone, Rick Flag. And then the next thing we see the scene with Keith as he's driving back to their house, their crib, and he's just looking at it, he's like, what the hell's going on? It's like weird, everyone, why is there people going on? What's all this commotion about? And then he drives by Harcourt, and he breaks just like how the other people are breaking, and the other people are getting more people from their houses and stuff, telling everyone, oh, come out here, look. And then Keith jumps out of his car, sees a commotion, realizes what it is because of Adebayo. He honks on his car to let more people come out. Like, look, hey, look. And yeah, we're like, bro, this is insane. Okay, this is insane. I know I'm not giving many thoughts yet. It's because of the next scene. This is the scene that did it all. And then Harcourt's like, don't you ever mention that? Didn't you see like how this dimension is? It's not like there's no other people of color. And then he's like, what? And he thinks about it, and then he looks at the flag on the table, which you just, at face value, look at it, you're like, oh, this is just the American flag. No. Because then he holds it, straightens it out, looks at it, and guess what logo it has, bro? Guess what? I can't say it, but guess what logo it has? Yes, it's that logo. And I wasn't too familiar with it until people started theorizing about it like 2 weeks ago. But this is pretty much the Earth X reveal, if I'm not wrong. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy stuff there. And then, yeah, Peacemaker realizes, oh, shoot, this dimension is not the perfect world. And then Harcourt says it too, this is not the perfect world you think of. And he realizes, oh, shoot, what have I done? And then we go back to John. And he thought he had the chance to finally move out. Get out of sight. He makes a move. And guess what? Peacemaker's dad, he was on there. He knew. He had suspicion. And boom. He just pretty much hits him in the head. And then he puts, just bro, stabs a knife into John's hand. And then John spills beans, bro. This guy, John, without any hesitation, bro. No, he just folds. He absolutely folds. It's crazy. And then now Peacemaker's dad knows everything about it, what they came here to do, everything, how. And the worst part is he spilled the beans, not only about what their mission was, how to get this, whatever. He literally spilled the worst part of it. He spilled the beans about how our Peacemaker did the alternate dimension Peacemaker, bro. Now you know this is where the motivation is going to come. Oh my god. There's going to be consequences for this. You know saying an eye for an eye? Best believe that's coming up in the next, either episode 7 or episode 8. There's no way we go... There's no way the season ends without at least one of the people from the crew dying. There's legit no way. I refuse to believe that. At least one person is gonna, catch the fade. I don't know who. And then we go back to Adebayo, and she's running. And this scene was kind of reminiscence. I can't speak. But it was kind of similar. It reminded me of the scene in season 1 where Peacemakers run away from all the, white hooded individuals. Now here Adebayo, she's running away from all these individuals. Okay, if you get what I mean. So I was kind of like, oh, look at the similarities there. But man, those last few minutes, absolutely great. And the end credits scene here was just the bit about when Keith comes in and sees Harcourt in Peacemaker's room. And here you kind of see the lines are very different, the dialogue is very different here, and you can see why it got cut out, because it would have just made things difficult for for the rest of the episode, more complicated. But yeah, the consequences here, the stakes here have just went up extremely, quite a bit. Okay, absolutely insane. And this video is long. It's like 31 minutes. It's almost as long as the entire episode, including the credits. This is kind of crazy, but this is what James Gunn said. These episodes are insane. Okay, insane. But yeah, I can't wait for next episode. Who knows what's gonna happen to John? Now Peacemaker's dad's gonna be going for everyone. Adebayo, right? Keith is gonna have control of Adebayo, at least that's what we assume. Who knows what happens to her? And the reveal of the Earth X type thing. And then what Harcourt's gonna do to this Peacemaker and our Harcourt, just everything. And then Adrian's just gonna be all chilling with himself. Even though now it's awkward because he realizes that this Vigilante does not like Peacemaker. So yeah, a lot of things happening. How are they going to get out of this? We have to see. Maybe they get the help of someone else. And also, you got to keep in mind Judo Master, and that's another subplot going on. And lastly, Argus. How are they going to play in this? What are they going to do? Especially they made a deal with Lex. That Red Flag made a deal with Lex. So we'll see. Anyways, let me know what you think down below. Very good episode. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you next one. Peace.